All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the studio. Happy week after the art show week. Hopefully you guys had, oh, I'm making sure we're live. Sorry. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend. I know we had a great weekend and we loved seeing all of you guys at the Belvoir Winery yesterday for the show. We will spend most of this week and probably some of next week still recovering. And we'll do some behind the scenes stuff in our stories on Instagram and Facebook if anyone's ever interested in what it takes to put a show of that size and scale on for 3 hours. It's a 3 hour show and it takes weeks and weeks and weeks of prep. It goes up and comes down super fast. So if you're interested in any of that, it goes up all yesterday and then it comes down within about less than an hour is how long it takes us to get everything down in the vehicles and back to the studio and unloaded. So and we have an amazing team, and that's the only way that that happens. So if you're interested in some behind the scenes content, check out the stories for that. But we did have an amazing show. We had about 250 artists who ended up exhibiting with us. There are tons of photos, you guys. Hang on. Let me turn off me. How do I do that? I put me behind the slideshow. There, look, I disappeared. But we have some amazing photos from the show. These are just a few that I've already edited. But all the instructors take pictures. They were busy with their phones with pictures and video and documenting the event itself. So as they send them to me, I will get them edited. We do things obviously like adjusting the white balance and cropping them. But one of the other things that we do before we publish any photos of your kiddos is we do remove their name tag stickers so that we're not publishing their names with their photos. And the other thing that will happen this week, media-wise, let me put me back on here. The other thing that'll happen this week, media-wise, is we'll get a blog post written up with the photos, of course, but also with all of our award winners and exhibitors, first name and last initial only. So we'll get that published for everybody so that they can see who is exhibiting and who has won awards. So all of that'll be up. The art is back at your studio with the exception of one box from Flatwoods that ended up here, but we'll get it out there to your guys tonight. So your art will be ready for pickup in your classes this week, next week, sometime this month would be great to pick up your art. And if you didn't get your certificate at the show, that'll also be there. That might be a little bit longer because they are all here in Liberty, alphabetized. And so we have to go through and be like, is this a Liberty student or is this a Flatwood student? So we'll get all of those separated out and get those out to Flatwood so you guys have your certificates as well and ribbons and all of that stuff. So thank you to everyone who came. We'll keep talking about it all week long. Okay. Let's talk about what's going on in classes this week. All right, everybody has class this week. This is the first week of May. So all May lessons and May projects will start this week and everybody has class. There's nothing funky happening. Just a standard normal week. We are going to talk a little bit about the end of the month because that does get a little bit crazy with the Memorial Day holiday. And that will affect our drawing and multimedia classes, but we'll talk about that in housekeeping. Fundamentals classes this week. We've got 3 new books for the month of May. We are doing a lot of sculpture work. We're going to look at the art of Alexander Calder and work in the round and making sculptures. We'll do a little bit of metal work because that's what our multimedia classes are doing. We're going to start our month with Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. We're going to make some magic pebbles of our own. Sarah and I like to call this dangerous art. So we take our rocks and we heat them up in the oven. They do get hot to the touch. And then we'll melt crayons over the top and then cover them with glitter so they become their own magic pebble. We'll also, oh wait, no, I'm sorry. That's not this week. See, I should have read my notes. A totally different person wrote these notes last week, and apparently I didn't review them. My bad. Magic Pebble is not this week. It is Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus. And I knew that because we got to get the clay sculptures built. So these guys are going to build clay sculptures in week 1. So ignore the Magic Pebble. Look forward to it later this month. We're going to build pigeon sculptures out of clay, and then they'll have the rest of the month to paint them with acrylic paint as they dry. So super fun. These are always really cute. So we love our pigeon sculptures. And then we'll end the month. I do know the last class is This Is Not My Hat, which is a John Clausen book. And then we're going to make hats, which is fun. All right. For our K-3 classes, we're beginning our multimedia, it's a metals month. So everything that we do will be made out of metal, which is such a unique medium that a lot of times kids, especially in the elementary ages, don't necessarily get to explore. We're going to be using 2 types of metal for our sculptures. We're going to be using an aluminum tooling foil as well as wire. So it's also aluminum wire. We have both silver and an anodized wire, which is covered Anodized just means it has a thin coat of color on it. So we have anodized colored wire as well as silver wire for them to use in their sculptures, and then some wooden beads and some wooden bases in order to give it that like weight at the bottom so that they stand. That really helps working against gravity here. In week 1, we're going to get out the tooling foil. That's a really thin, I want to say 25 gauge tooling foil. It's copper on one side, copper colored, not actually copper, and silver on the other. And they'll learn how to emboss it from both sides. We put it on felt and we'll use either like a wooden stylus. We do have some metal styluses, although I think the wooden ones work better, especially for people who have that kind of fingernails on the chalkboard feeling when metal on metal happens. Ugh. So we've got some wooden ones that will glide over it. And they'll emboss their little pieces of tooling foil. We'll get those colored next week and then start working them into our sculptures. Oh man, where'd the picture go for this one? Where did the slide go? Hang on. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Apparently I missed a slide somehow. It'll probably show up at the end of the slideshow. I probably just have them out of order. That's okay. Let's just pretend that this one says 4th and 5th in homeschool and that there's a box of a bunch of images here for the slideshow inspiration that they are doing as well. It is also Metals Month for our 4th and 5th and our homeschool kiddos, and we're going to be building sculptures out of wire for them. They will also use some tooling foil for the wings. The subject matter for their sculptures are flying beasts. It's very wide open. It can be a butterfly. It can be a dragon. It can be a bird. It can be a made up creature, right? So anything with wings that flies. And so we've got a body shape of some kind, whether it be round or orb or long or tube-like, whatever body shape made out of a mixture of fabric and wire. And then the wings are made out of aluminum tooling foil. And then we'll do different adornments with also that anodized aluminum wire and the silver aluminum wire. So in their first week, they will be looking at a slideshow of images that obviously are not up here on the screen, but they'll look at a slideshow of images and get inspired. They'll brainstorm what their subject might be for their flying creature. And then they'll work on tooling and embossing their metal wings. So that'll be the step that we get done in week 1. In week 2, we'll work on the bodies. And then in week 3, we'll put everything together and get it all finished. Okay, so in our 6th, 7th, and 8th, 12th, which also should have a box of pictures, we'll have to talk to last week Allison, who made the slideshow, and figure out what happened. But they also will be looking at a slideshow of images. They're going to be doing metal sculptures as well with wood bases. They're a little bit more wide open on their subject. They can do anything that they want for their sculpture working in the round, whether it's something very abstract like the sculpture of Calder, or whether it's more representational and they have a specific object in mind that they're trying to represent. They can use wire of different gauges as well as some metal findings. So picture like washers and nuts and bolts and those kinds of things. We'll explore different wire wrapping techniques, and they will also have access to the tooling foil, which is that flat 25 gauge sheeting. And they can use it flat, or they can use it punched, or they can do embossing on that. It can also be colored with alcohol inks, alcohol markers, or Sharpie markers. And then some of our older classes also think it's really fun to color it and then light it on fire because we can burn off the alcohol, and that's makes it really fun, kind of swirly effect. So there might be some of that happening as well. So very wide open for our big kids on what type of in the round metal sculpture they are making. It's a fun way to end the year. For our creative explorations. Okay, something's wrong here because this is not the right slide. Give me a sec. I'm going to go dig into my slideshow here and see what happened. Oh, those are April slides. That's why. Let's delete these and see if I can find the correct ones on the fly while we are live. Think we could do that? Because I do want to go over the creative explorations stations for the month of May. They are different than April, and so that matters. So let's get these slides in here, and we'll go from there. I don't know if they're going to be in order, so we may have to hunt for them, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 19 slides. Maybe some of them are right. Let's try again. That one's correct. That one's correct. That one's correct. Hey, look, there's the 4th and 5th one. There's the 6th, 7th one. Okay, here we go. Creative explorations. So it was not a problem of last week, Allison making slides. It was today, Allison importing the slides into the video. Okay, here we go. Metal focus for creative explorations. We're going to be doing some metal tooling. So that is the 25 gauge metal sheeting that's copper colored on one side, aluminum on the other. And we emboss it using different styluses, whether we use it with wooden stylus or metal stylus. We're just kind of um, pushing down into the metal. And because it's a soft metal, it's a thin metal, we can actually stretch it and emboss it. We can do work from both sides. It's very cool. So they'll explore some metal tooling as our media focus. The art history that we're doing, this is an amazing artist who did these like ginormous sculptures of like metal spiders. They're very creepy, but amazing. So we'll have that along with some aluminum foil because you can make spiders out of aluminum foil, which is cool. We'll do some collaborative vertical surface invitations with aluminum foil painting. So painting on aluminum foil is a different sensory experience than painting on paper. Still life drawing invitation. We're going to explore reflections on metal objects. So we'll just look around the studio, find some things that are metal, make an assortment of them, and then have them out to draw. Our journal invitation is trading cards. This is pulled from our 102 illustrative lesson. It's making character trading cards, kind of like Pokemon cards or baseball cards, and you'll create your character on little trading cards. And whether you keep them or whether you trade them is up to you. And our sensory bin is a spring garden sensory bin, also pulled from fundamentals lessons. I believe most studios on this one, it's either a black bean or a pinto bean bin with flowers and shovels and scoops. There might be some toy bunnies and carrots and things too. Drawing 101, there's no information here on the slide, but it's nice to have the title. So for our drawing classes, especially 101 and 102 realistic, this is our in plein air units. We're doing a lot outside. Everybody's got spring fever. If the weather is nice, we will try to be outside for classes this month. It's just nice. So our first week of classes in 101, last week we looked at reference images of nocturnal animals and we did charcoal reductive drawing. So hopefully you saw some of that on social media. This week we're going to look at reference images of insects. We'll draw from those images using ink, like Sharpie ink, Natsumi ink, and then chalk pastels. We'll be creating our own bug collection. For our 102 advanced realistic people, they're going to be getting outside. We're going to do trees and plants, and they're also going to be working with chalk pastels. We're going to do it from observation, hopefully observation from life. Like hopefully we're able to go outside and draw from life, notice the different shapes of trees and plants, and what their form is, and how we draw them as a whole instead of drawing individual leaves. Like what mark do we use to represent leaves without drawing each individual leaf? So we're going to solve that problem. There are lots of different answers to it, but it's fun to explore. We will also, I'm trying to think. That's it for now. We'll get outside the rest of the week too. I think next week we get outside and draw buildings and roads. So that's a linear perspective lesson. So we really like to get outside for these. If we can't, if the weather is bad, we will be inside and we'll draw from photograph. For our 102 illustrative, to wrap up our year, the kids are going to have a choice of either trading cards, which I mentioned in our creative explorations unit, where we take characters, original characters, not known characters out in the world, no Spider-Mans or Naruto. Like it has to be an original character, and you're creating a trading card set of your characters. So think Pokemon cards or baseball cards, right? If our kids are more story driven and they want to actually narrate a story with their characters, we have blank comic books where they can actually, and it doesn't have to be comic style. I just use the word comic because it clues in. Could be any book. It could be an illustrated children's book. It could be a graphic novel. It could be a comic book. But we have blank books for them to work through a story and illustrate that. Not everyone's a storyteller, which is why we offer the trading card option. But some of our kids are. So those will be their options, and they'll have all the classes this week to work through that project, or this month. All the classes this month to work through this project to kind of end out their year. Okay, so that's our illustrative 102. For 103 lessons, we're wrapped up last month's projects, which they looked amazing. Again, hopefully you saw the pictures on social media. So for our 103 advanced realistic, we're going to do hyper realistic food drawings. We're going to work a little bit smaller. Normally we work in a 9x12 piece of paper on an 8x10 scale because then we mat it. This month we're going to work a little smaller, either 6x8 or 5x7. We'll let the kids decide. They'll find a reference image, and we're really going to focus heavily on technique. And that's why we kind of shrunk the scale. Also, because it's May, and a lot of times we don't get our kids for all 4 classes in May. So we're just kind of being sensitive to that. We do want them to finish this project. We're going to do an underpainting with the realistic kids with alcohol markers. So the word underpainting is, it's not really painting, but we're going to use the alcohol ink markers as an under layer. And then all of the detail work and everything on top we'll go with colored pencils. So that'll be the plan for our hyper realistic food drawing. And then for our illustrative class, we're looking at the shonen style of art illustrations. The artist that we're looking at is Akira Toriyama. And so that is the creator and illustrator of Dragon Ball Z and Naruto, if I'm correct on that. And so we have this very action-packed, very dramatic, has a little bit of humor in it. It's exaggerated style. So we're looking for them to design 2 characters in a battle scene. So very action-driven, but interacting with one another. So we're at a face-off is what they're going to be doing for their final project of the year. Okay. Housekeeping. May is the last month of our school year. This is it. This is it. So those of you who were paying, like if you paid for the semester, let's go there. Okay. If you paid for the semester, meaning sometime in November or December, you paid a huge chunk of money, all that money, like it paid for classes all the way through the end of May. If you are paying monthly on Friday, which was May 1st, was your last monthly charge. Okay, so you are done. You don't have to come to me and be like, hey, we're not going to be here in June, or cancel my payments for June. You're done. It's automatic. Like the last scheduled one was Friday. So you're done. Classes end at the end of this month. And then that's the end of the spring semester. Summer classes are different. They are not the weekly classes. They're the single session classes in the camps, and registration is online if you would like to join us for those. Fall registration will start, I think we're going to talk about it later in housekeeping, but it'll start in August, okay? So we do need to talk about the month of May because it is a little weird. If you are in fundamentals, preschool, toddler art and play, preschool, or creative explorations, you're a 3-time-a-month class. You guys are not affected by the Memorial Day holiday, but my drawing and my multimedia kids are. So we do it the same way we do Christmas and Thanksgiving. And that 4th class is an open studio. So that's what this says. So there are open studios happening on the 26th, which is Tuesday, and the 28th, which is Thursday. And you can sign up for your time. If you go into your Sawyer account right now, it'll say that your last scheduled class is the week before this. But you're still owed 1 more class. So we're going to do that in form of open studios. In the email that you get, there's going to be a place where you can sign up. Now, here's how this works. The link that it says sign up here, it's actually going to open a PDF document, and everyone's always really confused about this. It's a choice that I make, and I apologize if it's the wrong one. But each one of these open studio sessions, which I know you can't see it, but this is Tuesday 5, 6, 7 in Liberty. This is Tuesday 5, 6, 7 in Platt. This is Thursday 5, 6, 7 in Liberty. This is Thursday 5, 6, 7 in Platt. That's how that works. So each one of those, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12 links, right? Has a different link to register. And rather than me send you 12 links in an email, I choose to send you one, and it's linked to a PDF. So when it opens the PDF, don't send, well, I mean, you can send me an email. I get them a lot that are like, the registration link didn't work. It just opened a flyer. You're right. It did. These guys are links. So the links are embedded in the flyer. That's how that works. So instead of me emailing you in the text body of the email, 12 links, I email you the link of a flyer, and then you can find the embedded links. So I don't know if it's easier. I like it this way. So these are the links that you'll use to sign up for your open studio. Okay, drawing and multimedia people, we do ask that you go ahead and tell us when you're coming. That helps us be staffed, number 1, because we want to make sure that we're staffed appropriately for the number of kids that are coming. Number 2, it gives us an accurate account of who's in my building at that time. So when it comes to 6 p.m. on Tuesday, I want a roster of who's in our care. So that's why we want to be able to take attendance and be like, these are the people we got. These are who we're responsible for. So that's why we ask that you go ahead and sign up. So if you're in a drawing or a multimedia class, you will not come. See, oh, there we go. See, this is what it'll look like. Right? So if you click a link, at that point, it opens up this, right? And this is what you're looking for. These are the registration links. So you click the little button. These guys right here. Click the little button and it'll open up your registration. And then you sign up, right? And it says free, right? The other reason that I have to embed it in a PDF is that I don't want them public on the site, right? So these are like hidden links. You have to have the link in order to sign up. So that's, like you wouldn't want this just floating around on the Orange Easel website and have any old people come in. That would be crazy. All right. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. If you are in drawing and multimedia classes and you're like, we normally come on Thursdays at 5 anyway, you can still come Thursday at 5 on the 28th. But we do ask that you go ahead and just sign up and let us know that you're coming, right? That's all. Should be the same teachers, I think, on those nights, but we will all be together. So if you have questions on that, let me know. Okay. And I should also mention what we're going to do. So we'll have the metal stations out. So drawing kids can come and play with metals. We'll have the drawing out. So like if you're working on your trading cards, you can still work on them. But we'll have additional stations as well. So if drawing kids want to play with metal tooling or wire art, they can. If multimedia kids want to make some trading cards, they can. And if everybody wants to just make pom-poms or bead things, or I don't know what, it'll be instructor's choice on what we put out. Crayon art on the griddle, whatever, spin art, whatever we want to make. So it'll be some fun stations for people to explore, just kind of as an end of year thing. If you miss that class, let's say you're headed out on vacation that week. If you miss that class, you don't need to make it up unless like you didn't finish your May project, like your metals project, or you didn't finish your trading cards. You don't have to make that up if you finished those things. And our goal is that lessons and projects mostly are done in week 3, so because we know we'll have low attendance this week. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, and we will have makeups going into June. It will not be the first week of June just because I've got staff vacation week that week, so everybody is off. But then after that, we'll have some makeup times so you guys can come in. Okay. All right. And then the last little note here is fall enrollment, August 1st, 9 a.m. We really publish like tuition rates and schedules around the 4th of July. I usually use that holiday time to do that. And then August 1st is when registration will open. And then registration goes until August 31st. So we've got that whole month to sign up. But if you're interested in the t-shirt promo, it's August 1st. And the t-shirt is already done. I am on the ball. It is designed and done. Actually, all of the like reveal emails are ready to go out to be like, this is the design. So it'll be fun. I was obviously procrastinating other tasks when I was doing that because that's way ahead. So, all right, you guys, I think that's it on housekeeping. Thanks for putting up with the technical difficulties and being patient with me. I hope you guys have a great first week of May. If you have questions about the end of the school year, let me know. And hopefully I see you guys in the studio soon.